I'm sorry, but I don't want Jalen Ramsey in Philly. I'm cool. He's old. He costs too much. And above everything else, he doesn't rock with Vic Fangio. I saw a guy in Vic Fangio leave the Dolphins. And remember, it was all them Dolphins players that were like, oh, we don't like Vic. He not it. Da da da. Putting that bad stuff on him. The Eagles didn't care. The Eagles had a young squad, and they still do have a young squad that, frankly, doesn't know any better. So they're going to go out here and take Vic Fangio's word, for lack of a better term, as the Bible. And so, what good does it do if the Eagles bring in a guy that he did not gel with Vic Fangio? He did not gel with the guy that transformed and just completely turned around this defense from what it was the previous season under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. So I'm rocking with Vic Fangio to infinity. And then when you add on the guy is 30 years old, he's a huge cap hit. It's like, what are we talking about? I mean, I would look to Jair Alexander before I look at Jalen Ramsey. But before I talk about any of that, I have faith in Keely Ringo. I do. Physically, Keely Ringo has all the tools. He does. And so you don't draft a Georgia Bulldog and don't use him. That's the fact. Let's rock out. Let's talk about TJ Watt. TJ Watt is somebody that, I had my little frown. I was serious in the beginning. TJ Watt should come to Philly. That's somebody that I have my full support for him to come to the Birds. And here's my pitch for TJ Watt to come to Philly. Now, brother, you are a 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first team All-Pro. You're going to go down as a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're on that trajectory. You have a Defensive Player of the Year. You are a sack maestro. And I want TJ Watt to look at what Josh Sweat got. Now, look, TJ Watt is on another planet and is not even close to the player that Josh Sweat is. No disrespect. But it's like, if Josh Sweat with the Eagles bet on himself and got a big deal with the Cardinals, what I would say with TJ Watt, how about you go to Philly, get traded, maybe it's a second and a fourth or 2/3. Hey, and you go out here on a prove it deal, and then the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Hell, you might win Super Bowl MVP. That could very well happen. Because if Josh Sweat can get 2.5 sacks, 2+ sacks in the Super Bowl, I can only imagine what a defensive line with Jalen Carter and TJ Watt's going to do. Oh my gosh. And I didn't even mention Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis and Jalix Hunt and Moro Ajomo. Do you know how much TJ Watt would feast? And how about this? TJ Watt in Pittsburgh. You never had a quarterback, at least of recently, as my mind tells me. Yeah. And even like the later Big Ben, he wasn't on Jalen Hurts level. So yeah, TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, you never played with a player that while y'all were teammates, he played at the level that Jalen Hurts is playing at right now, especially in the big moments. So you have an opportunity, if you so choose, And if Howie Roseman and the Eagles so choose to be like, you know what, bet, let me prove it. Let me get some hardware. Let me put myself in the history of one of the best trades in NFL history. And for the Steelers, I would say you should want to trade TJ Watt. It sounds crazy, but you should be able to use TJ Watt to then get a superstar quarterback. Maybe that is trading up to get Shedeur Sanders. Maybe that is staying down this season and going out here next season and trading up. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is if you still got Mike Tomlin, you're going to win 9 games. You're going to win 8 games. So you're not going to be bad enough to have a top 5, top 3 pick and be guaranteed to get a blue chip quarterback. So it's going to come down to you trading some pieces to be able to be bad for a little bit, get assets, and retool. That's what it is. That's my pitch. If y'all watching this right now, give me your pitch too. Give me your pitch. Y'all see the little overlay, a little bit different now. Got a little real, got the embedded John. Hey, we going up a little bit. We going up a little bit. Again, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Let's get into the draft. And there was this article by Anthony DeBona that detailed perfectly how important this relative athletic score, more commonly known as RAS, is in the scout and draft process. Let me read this to you. RAS utilizes both physical measurements and drill performances from the NFL Combine and Pro Days and simplifies them into a scale ranging from 0 to 10. That means 0 being bad, you ain't athletic for real, and 10 being you are a freakish athlete, bro. You a freak show, like my OG says. If a player scores a 10, that represents elite athleticism, while a score of 5 would represent average performance. So the formula utilizes physical attributes such as height, weight, arm length, hand size, 40-yard dash, vertical jump, bench press, and shuttle drills. Let me put this into context, right? Since 2020, the Philadelphia Eagles have selected 40 total players in the NFL draft, and 25 of those players had an RAS, a relative athletic score, of at least 8 from a scale from 1 to 10, which equates to 62% of those players that got drafted. Since 2022, and since 2022, let's be honest, Howie Roseman has been batting 1,000 in the draft. The Eagles have selected 21 players, and 17 of those had an RAS of at least 8. So that equates to 80% of Philly's total draft picks over their last 3 drafts. Quinion, Coop, Jalix, freak shows. They're freak shows. So I'm looking at this, and I'm saying when the Eagles went ahead and got somebody who had a less than 8 score in Jalen Reagor, who was the lowest since 2020, he had a score of 5. That was arguably the biggest bust in Eagles history. So it would go to show you that when you got these players that at the very least got an 8 score from 0 to 10, it's a pretty damn good chance the Eagles going to draft him. It pretty much is. And we seeing what Quinion be doing. You seeing how he runs stride for stride with Scary Terry. We see how a guy in Cooper DeJean is running stride for stride with Jamar Chase. We see a guy in Cooper DeJean that's reading the eyes of this generation's GOAT. And in the Super Bowl, I saw it with my own eyes. Pick 6 to the crib. He was so hyped. It was so unexpected. He didn't know what to do. what to do. Quinyon Mitchell going stride for stride with Xavier Worthy when it actually mattered. So when you possess both the IQ and the athleticism, plus the coaching that the Eagles have with Christian Parker and Vic Fangio, my goodness, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? So this is something that we definitely have to keep our eyes on 100%. And then when we look at the guys that the Eagles are interested in, I'm going to pull it up real quick. And again, shout out to Anthony DeBona on this. The guys that they've had currently for top 30 visits: Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, scoring 9. Jalen Travis, Iowa State, scoring 9. TJ Sanders, interior defensive line, 9.3. He's really a freak show. Donovan from Boston College, I'm not going to butcher his last name, edge rusher, 8.1. It's a bunch of guys, even Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, 9.6. I'll say that. Hey, bruh, I'll say that. And I think with Christian Parker and Vic Fangio, if Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, if he is available, we got to go ahead and get that. And I do like Keely Ringo, but I guess I got to see what Keely Ringo's score was. I can't see it right now. I guess I'll go back to that when it's time. But it's like, man, oh, man. 9.6? Oh, my. He's a freak show. I do want to point this out. In order for the Eagles to acquire Malachi Starks, they will have to trade up in the draft. I don't believe the NFL is this incompetent that they would let the Eagles draft another Georgia Bulldog, the best safety in the draft, at number 32. Mind you, the Ravens, whose secondary was terrible last year, it got better at the end, but it really wasn't good all year. If they had a duo of Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton, that would be showtime. That would be amazing. The Bengals, their secondary was awful. They need some help. So we're looking at a situation where you got a couple of teams that are in divisions with really good quarterbacks that they're going to have to focus on their secondary. And so just like Adam Schefter said, the Eagles, they have over the next 2 drafts, the Eagles have 20 draft picks. Howie Roseman has said, and he's made it abundantly clear, his identity is to be aggressive. That's what he does. He was aggressive in acquiring A.J. Brown on draft day. He was aggressive in signing Saquon Barkley in free agency. Frankly, he was aggressive in trading up to get Cooper DeJean. And I would argue that he was aggressive in saying, look, Carson Wentz is cool and all, but we should be aggressive and get a quarterback as a safety net just in case the Carson Wentz experience doesn't work out. And who was that quarterback? Super Bowl MVP, Jalen freaking Hurts. So history tells us that Howie Roseman, the best GM in the NFL, is going to trade up. He's going to work his magic. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, speaking of Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts, my second best quarterback in the game right now, I want to say this. I love when y'all doubt Jalen Hurts. And throughout all last season, while I was pissed off because some of the slander was insane, in the back of my mind, I was like, y'all keep giving him more fuel to his fire. It's a reason why he don't respond. And the one time he did respond, y'all gave him more fuel to his fire. Remember when it was the Steelers game? After that game, he said, "Is this what y'all wanted to see?" And they was mad. That's what you're supposed to do. You could have been doing this. Da 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 da. You're just fueling more fire. Like what's wrong with you? Like you helping us out. And the Eagles are in a situation that they're now being hunted. Like they're no longer the hunters. But when you keep doubting the Eagles, you make them the hunters. If you keep saying that Justin Herbert is better than Jalen Hurts, that you would start a franchise with Baker or Herbert or Love or Jay and Daniels or Burr or Allen or guys that just haven't accomplished as much as him, that just makes the Eagles the hunters. Because in the event that they come the next season and y'all keep talking, all that's going to do, they're going to lift them weights. They're going to be thinking about all them doubters. Because the fact that they still won a Super Bowl, the fact that Jalen Hurts still won Super Bowl MVP, and y'all still got something to say, that's going to fuel them. And so my last thing on it, I would actually be scared if folks unanimously said Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the league, or Jalen Hurts, he's top 5, or Jalen Hurts, he's top 2, top 3, or he's a part of that elite group. That would actually scare me. The reason why is because, again, he performs his best when you doubt him. Think about it. Hurts' worst games are when everyone expects him to win. He lost to Zach Wilson. He lost to the Seahawks with the guy, what's his name? Drew, y'all know I'm talking about. I forget Cuz' name, but he ended up walking us down. Kirk Cousins. That's a different game. But it kind of happened the same result. Kind of had the same result at the end. So again, I do love the Hurts disrespect. And my last thing on Hurts, and then I'm gonna get to Saquon's workload real quick, and we'll head out. But here's my thing on the Hurts disrespect too. While we have spent a lot of time really trying to disprove these narratives and these notions that Hurts is not an elite quarterback, we do have to just say, though, he's not a finished product. He's not. Jalen Hurts is not a finished product. And that's scary for the league. Every single year he's improved. From year 1 starting to year 2 starting, he developed one of the best deep balls in the league. A guy that they called a running back in 2022 had the best deep balls in the league. And then going into 2023, it was, well, he can't carry a team. And then with a bottom 3 defense, carries the team to 11 wins. And at one point, they were 10-1. And he was the MVP frontrunner, outdueled Josh Allen, and did fairly well against that gauntlet. They ended up losing against the trash teams at the end. And that's because after Matt Patricia got in. But what was something that Hurts had to improve on from 2023 to 2024? It was his pre-snap adjustments. It was recognizing when the blitz is coming and beating the blitz. Because it used to be Jason Kelce being the one that identifies certain coverages. And then he goes into 2024 and becomes one of the best quarterbacks pre-snap. And in the Super Bowl, he put on a masterclass in terms of not being fooled by Steve Spagnuolo, a guy that they're saying is the best defensive coordinator of all time. And then the Eagles play him, and then now all that talk is gone. Like now it's just no talk no more. It's like all y'all did was just bet on the Chiefs, say they was gonna win. Spagnuolo's all this. He's gonna fool Hurts, and then he ends up not fooling Hurts, and then it's like, well, they got a super team. All right, you got it. You got it. So saying all that, I expect from 2024 to 2025, in terms of being a anticipatory thrower, I will say it again because I kind of like Jalen Hurts from 2024 to 2025, he will be a better thrower of the football in terms of anticipating routes. That comes with more time. He's been getting that work in with AJ and Devontae. Get that win with Jahan. Hell, Johnny Wilson. But if there's one thing that Hurts got to improve on, it's the fact that you might have to throw a ball that the guy didn't finish his route yet. But I think Joe Burrow does this amazingly, that he'll throw something, the defender turns around, it's right in his breadbasket. I know Hurts has that in him. I know he does. I know for a fact he does. And so just like how Burrow might be better than Hurts in that, Burrow ain't got Hurts' legs. So it's like we're not about to just like glaze Hurts all the way. Like he's not perfect. He got stuff that he got to improve on for sure. But we're gonna be objective and say we've seen a history of this guy year by year improve on certain aspects of his game. And history is going to repeat itself. Let me get to Saquon Barkley and then we out of here. Saquon Barkley had a sensational season. All-time great. One of the best running back seasons of all time. I'll be honest, though. I don't want Saquon Barkley to have that same workload next year. I don't. He shouldn't be having 320-plus carries again. No. And that's not sustainable year by year. So what this calls on is A.J. Dillon and or Will Shipley to step up. It's going to be either one of them that takes on being that running back too. Now, I'm not saying that they'll end up being like Sonic and Knuckles with the Lions and share the rock that much. But if we can get to a point that it's like 70-30, even for like lesser teams, 65-35, and then Saquon gets more rest going into the playoffs, I would love to see that. Because look, you want to be able to preserve your best players to when it really matters. For real. Now, granted, it does all matter because it is only a 17-game season. And so, it's not like 82 games. But I'm saying you don't want to burn Saquon out. You don't want to burn Saquon out in September and October and November. And then come to December, he's at 300 carries. And it's like, damn, well, over the past 2 seasons, I got 600 some. I am human. I know he does look like Superman. He is jumping over guys backwards, but the guy is human. So I'm just saying for the Eagles, Jeff Stalin, these guys, just to pay attention to that stuff. And we should be able to just be cognizant of that. Like, Saquon's amazing. He is human, though. And if other guys that we've signed can step up, that is a perfect scenario. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It is Real Talking Miles Johnson. I know I always keep it real. I hope you like the setup, the new overlay, all that. Like, comment, subscribe. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It is Real Talking blah, 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 blah. It is Real Talking Miles Johnson. I know I always keep it real. I'm out, y'all.